Assuming it isn't utter bedlam in there, you might even meet Sirona, the owner. She's a good one to know.
Okay, so I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy since it's come out on PS4. And the big takeaway so far is that I definitely need to get a PS5. Hopefully by the time the Cyberpunk DLC comes out, I'll be able to get it. But still, even with the base PS4 that I'm playing on, I'm really liking the look of the game. The graphics are not the greatest. I think even on PS5 it's not the greatest. But the art design, the fact that they brought Hogwarts to life so well. It's one of those things that I've been playing it now for like, I don't know, maybe 6 hours. And it's one of those things that they did such a great job at making or meeting your expectations, you know, based on the films and the books of how Hogwarts should look and how everything should look and kind of feel. That is almost underrated, even though it's really successful and even though it's, you know, gotten a lot of good reviews. I still think it might be, in some ways, at least the way they've brought everything to life, it might still be underrated, because it's like that weird paradox where, like they say in sports, how can you tell that officiating, you know, that the referees are doing a great job? You can tell when you don't even notice them. So it's like they've done such a great job with making Hogwarts look like Hogwarts and making the surrounding area look so good that you almost just take it for granted. Like, it's like, well, this is what it's supposed to be, but they really did do a good job at that. So anyway, so that's that. Just running around Hogwarts, running around everywhere feels good, although the camera itself is very annoying. They do this thing where you interact with a lot of the objects. You know, you can spin globes, eat food, take tea, and pet cats, whatever. And the camera keeps doing this annoying thing where it keeps going behind your back. So you don't actually see the action unless you try to hurry up and push the camera, you know, back around so you can actually see, you know, your character interacting with something. So that's irritating. And then it's kind of, it's hard to control and hard to like place the camera to see the surrounding areas. It keeps going too low. And maybe that's just something to do with the settings I need to figure out. I don't know. But camera's annoying. They do a great job with the combat, with the wizarded spells, like this wand. There's something that always felt awkward to me, like how can you make that exciting? Even in the movies was kind of like, but they do a great job with, you know, combining different spells and all that stuff. So it's good. All that stuff is good. But I can't help thinking that if it wasn't for these fucking idiots, not just because of the huge success of the game, as far as these idiots, you know, protesting the game, but if it wasn't, not just the success, but them protesting the game shields the game from those of us who would have attacked it for being SJW and woke. So like, I'm playing it, I'm so black-pilled at this point that I almost always only half enjoy things or partially enjoy things. Maybe not just half, maybe 75 to 80% enjoy things. Like, saw Arcane recently, and for the most part liked it, but too many things about it took me out of it. And the same thing is happening with Hogwarts. And yeah, I'm just going to get into it. So
it's a treat to see you, Lodgok. I shall let you know if I hear anything.
Thank you, Sirona.
You be well. Now, what can I... Oh, there's a face I haven't seen before.
It's my first time here.
Welcome. Butterbeer's on me. Heard about the attack. I shall be looking in on the other shopkeepers and residents shortly.
all right, I'm just going to keep it a buck. I can't stand this character. This annoying trans character that just is so distracting. As soon as you see and hear this person, all it does is take you out of the game. It takes you out of the experience of being in Hogwarts, because now you're not thinking about playing Hogwarts or playing Harry Potter. You're thinking about, this person is trans. And why is the person trans as opposed to just being a woman or a guy? In the sense that clearly this is just virtue signaling. Clearly this is just something they did because they were getting backlash just from developing the fucking game. J.K. Rowling, embroiled in controversy because, men obviously can turn into women whenever they want to. All they have to do is just say it, and everybody's supposed to accept that. So the thing that is irksome about it is on so many levels. Just the fact that they would do something that's so nakedly obvious that, well, J.K. Rowling, we do not support any of her transphobic remarks. We want to distance ourselves from her. So we'll get people off our backs by including a trans character into the story to show that everyone is welcome in our game. And then the whole stupid thing where, you know, the character creator, you know, they have voice 1 and voice 2. You can't even say boy or girl. It's voice 1 and voice 2. And it's like, what's stupid about it? Okay, so this character makes me want to vomit the same way that Richard Dreyfuss was saying about the diversity and inclusion guidelines with the Academy Awards now, where apparently, you know, in order to have, and I think the British Awards already were doing this, the British Film Awards or whatever, they are doing this thing where in order to be nominated, you have to make sure that your film has 5% of this people, 70% of that people. It's like this, you know, it's all representation. It's not about characters. It's not about telling a story. It's not about art, entertainment, or anything. It's just like an algorithm now, like that gamer one. I forgot, what was the name of the game? Overwatch, where they were showing you, in order to have the right amount of the diversity points, this is the percentage of each thing that you need. And that's not storytelling. That's not filmmaking. That's not anything. Like, this is a fantasy world, right? So you have this fucking character who's trans, being trans. If you have a world where there are people who are witches and wizards who can use magic to, like, fly and tame wild beasts and fight dragons and do all this shit, why would a person who's suffering from gender dysphoria make themselves trans? Why wouldn't they just make themselves a woman? Even if it was just some kind of illusion spell or glamour, and they didn't actually change themselves. Why would they be like, I'm going to look like a guy, put on a wig, and I'm going to have just my male voice, but I'm just going to be trans? As opposed to, I'm going to use my magic powers to look and sound like a woman. Whether I actively can change my body. Like, maybe magic is not going to be great enough to change my sex, but I can at least do an illusion spell where people will just see me as a woman. Even if everybody knows that, oh yeah, he's trans, but, you know, he wants to present as a woman. Because you wouldn't, if you had magic powers, you wouldn't just stop at being trans. Just sounding like a guy, you know, looking like a guy with a wig. You wouldn't do that. You would just make yourself look and sound like a woman. And I don't understand this thing. And who knows? I don't have gender dysphoria. I'm not trans. I'm not non-binary. I'm not any of these things. But logically, although, I mean, some people would argue that it's not logical, the whole phenomenon of trans or whatever, but whatever. Logically, you would think, if you really have gender dysphoria, and you're a man who feels you should have been a woman, and you want to play Hogwarts Legacy, why would you play a trans character as opposed to playing just a woman, a female character, a girl? Why would you go, I'm trans, so I'm going to play as a trans character? The issue isn't, okay, so, like, this character, Sirona, isn't a character, isn't a person. This character is representation. So that's the thing. You're not actually seeing a story about a person. You're seeing a person who's saying, I'm trans in the world of Harry Potter. But if you're playing the game and you have gender dysphoria, you just want to role play as a girl. Now, I played as a black dude character simply because I usually play as girls in RPGs. They let you choose between male and female. I choose female, usually. But this time I'm like, I'm going to play as if I grew up with Harry Potter, you know, as a kid. So now I'm going to put myself in that world. So that's why I'm playing as a brother. But it isn't like I don't have a dysphoria about being black. I'm just a black guy, so I'm playing as a black guy. I could play as a girl if I wanted to, if I wanted to role play, or actually just sort of watch this girl as I'm playing. Fine, whatever. But I don't see how, if you have gender dysphoria, that you're going to go, I'm going to create a trans character to represent me as a trans person, as opposed to, I'm going to play as a woman, because that's what I am. Even though it's this thing about, you know, you're not actually a woman. But if you want to be seen as a woman, you want to feel yourself as a woman, why wouldn't you role play as a woman, or in this case, maybe a girl, you know, in Hogwarts? It's just stupid. And so that's the thing that irritates me so much about this Sirona character. Because it's like, if this person is trans, not non-binary, this is the 1800s, you can say at least they're trans. So this person goes, I always felt I should have been a woman, so I'm going to use my magic powers to look and sound like a woman, you know. And then there are other things here. There's another scene. So I ranted a little bit more about the Sirona character than that was another thing. That was another thing that I knew about the character being in here, and I knew at the time when I first heard about it, that this is kind of embarrassing that you would be so nakedly obvious to say, let's put a trans character in the game so that people won't attack us. They don't care. These fucking people didn't give a shit about any SJW or woke shit you put in there. Once they decided you're the enemy, you're the enemy. There's nothing you can do to appease them. The only reason why they're shutting up now is because the boycott was such a spectacular failure. But they still keep jumping, even if it's down to the point of, the game's been out for a month and already people are not playing it anymore. It's like they beat the game and moved on. You were the ones who were obsessed about this game. You're so stupid. You're trying to get some kind of victory out of people no longer playing the game after it's been out a month or two. So so what's really also frustrating about it is, like I said, I already knew about this stupid ass character. But then to hear, I don't know, I forgot where I saw it. My brother sent me something where the developers were banning people, or maybe it wasn't the developers themselves, maybe it's Steam or something. They were banning, or Nexus mods, I can't remember. I don't care enough to look it up, but I know that people who tried to mod this annoying piece of shit character out of the game, this fake character, it's not really the character, it's just this virtue signal point that they removed from the game. Because for me, it's not even like there shouldn't be an out and out obvious trans character in the world of Harry Potter, because they wouldn't be trans. They would just turn into a woman or look like a woman. So that's why I keep harping on this, because it's like, this is why representation doesn't make any fucking sense. Why are you representing a trans person when the trans person is trying to say, I'm not trans? The trans person is trying to say, I'm just a woman. I'm just going to play as a woman. I'm going to take every opportunity I can get to not be seen as trans. So anyway, so people wanted to remove this character, whether they didn't want to see a trans character, whether they just were like me saying, on a general principle, this character sucks, this is not a real character, I'm removing this annoying character out of the game. They block you and stop you from doing it. I don't know if they're banning people or what, but it's just like somebody who took the trans flag out of the Spider-Man thing. Me, I leave the pride flag. I don't mind that being in there. It actually looked kind of cool in the city. You see all the different things the city has, graffiti, pride flag, that kind of thing. That doesn't bother me. But this particular character annoyed the fuck out of me. And there's a lot of like SJW shit in this game, just in the 6 hours that I've played it. There was the other character, what's her name, Nora something?
Care to tell me why 2 Ashwinders were ready to dispatch me to get to you?
Ashwinders?
Victor Rookwood's thieves and extortionists, his little cronies. They seemed quite keen on you.
It's a long story, but thank you for your help.
Well, you've avoided them for the moment. Priya warned me things were getting dangerous. Best get moving on my research before they return.
You mentioned someone named Priya.
Yes, my wife. She's the one who piqued my interest in Merlin.
Just this old fat lady, you know, the little explorer or researcher or something, and you help her out with some problem, and then she mentions somebody, some woman, and then you say, who's this woman you're talking about? And I was like, why am I asking who this woman is? Like, why do I care? And it was because she then goes, oh, that's my wife. It's like, okay, this is 1875 or 1870 something, I don't know what, but this is the 1800s. You're not married to a woman in the 1800s. Now again, this is part of a fantasy world, so you can say, well, the witches and wizards are allowed to marry each other in the Hogwarts world or whatever. But it's like, why do I have to know that this character is a lesbian married to a woman? I don't care. I never would have asked who this Priya person was, because it's saying, oh, Priya said this, and like, so they're saying, oh, what does that have to do with anything? And it's like, oh, my wife. Like, this game, and it's going to get worse and worse, because, and again, I'm liking playing it and stuff, but these things do take it out of me. I mean, it's probably not as even a big a deal. Like, I'm saying it's not a big deal in one sense, but it's a big deal to me, because like, I'm so black-pilled. As soon as I see trans character in Harry Potter, I'm like, this is bullshit. Now I see, not even that she's a lesbian, there is a way that she could have just been like, oh, that's a very dear friend of mine, and kind of wink at the camera, and you know, oh yeah, this is her girlfriend. But my wife, and just say it like it's just something that people would just randomly accept. It's just fucking stupid. Now, of course, they're in a world where there's dragons and hippogriffs and stuff, but still, there's this suspension of disbelief, and it's this thing where you know what's virtue signaling versus what's just natural and organic. And it's just silly that for no reason, she's got to tell you, I have a wife. And it doesn't have any bearing on anything. She just tells you that so you can know, oh, there's lesbian representation in the game too. And I still can't get over this thing of who would be playing this fucking game, trans or otherwise, where they would literally play male character with a female voice, or a female character with a male voice. Like, watching the Sirona and listening to the Sirona person was so aggravating. Because it's like, why would this person do this? You have magical powers. You're supposed to be great and powerful, and like, why would you just stop at trans and just be trans as opposed to, well, no, I have magic powers, I'm gonna be a woman. It's just, and it's funny because the boycott failed anyway, but you didn't need to do anything. It was just pointless to do any of this. I don't believe that any of the people on this staff, they may have been gay people on the staff and that kind of thing, but I don't believe any of them really cared about putting this stuff in the game. This idea that, oh, I'm represented, I can be, it's this weird, it is like a segregation thing. Like, an average white person can read Harry Potter and just enjoy Harry Potter. But if you're black or queer or anything else, there's this extra thing that they put on you that you're supposed to be like, I can't just read it, enjoy it, and transport myself into the world. I have to take a step back and go, well, there probably aren't many black people in this story, so I can't really enjoy it because I'm not being represented. Like, I don't believe any trans person reading Harry Potter was like, man, too bad I'm trans because I can't really enjoy this story otherwise. What can I do? Like I said, I don't believe any trans person who played this game as if they were trans. Doesn't make any sense that you would do that. But yeah, overall, 6 hours in, I'm enjoying the game. But this game is SJW-esque. I don't think it's going to get full really bad, but it's annoying. I'll tell you that much. And they didn't have to do any of this. They didn't win anybody over to their side who was trying to boycott this game, because all the little virtue signaling points and stuff, it does not matter. It doesn't improve the game. It doesn't change anybody's minds about anything. And then to show you that even when people are just like, no, I'm going to remove this character from the game, they're forcing you, no, you got to keep the character in there because what? You're transphobic if you take the character out. Characters shouldn't even be in there like this. They did such a great job recreating the world of Harry Potter. And this character, this stupid bartender character, is so incongruent with everything else that they've done so well. I wouldn't want to, like, blemish my game, with this stupid character. Because it's like, it's not a person. It really is, like I said, it's just representation. It's just, we got to put a trans person in there to try to get people off our back for even making this game. And it's silly. And it's like, with diversity and inclusion and virtue signaling and pandering, it's done so thoughtlessly. It's like they want you to complain. They want you to be like, I don't like this stupid trans character. So they can be, well, you're transphobic. You're doing hate speech. And it's like, no, I don't like this character. This character doesn't fit. It's stupid to go into this bar. You're used to, like, you've got this expectation of the world now. It's been building and building as you play it, and everything feels so right and genuine. And all of a sudden, this, guy with a wig comes over to you, and it's supposed to be a woman, but it's clearly not. And it's like, oh, come on. You didn't have to do this. It's not appealing to people who want to boycott the game. And it's definitely not appealing to people who are playing it. I don't, like, trans people who played this game are not going, oh, wow, I feel so seen. They're probably just going like, what is this? I can't speak for everybody. I just know definitely for me, it took me out of the experience. And I knew the character was in there. But actually seeing this person and then listening to their voice and going, man, everything felt so much like Harry Potter. It felt so right. And now you have this. And then that's just another thing about how they did such a great job with the world and you're playing in it. And it's so funny that, the sort of the hubris and the narcissism of activists to be like, your trans friends are going to feel some kind of way about you playing this game. They're more important than your silly wizard childhood. And it's like, no, they're not. You've conflated violence with people disagreeing that they're actually the gender that they say that they are. That's not harm and violence. And I'm not giving up playing this game that looks so great and is fun to play and blah blah blah, simply because there's somebody out there saying, I'm really a woman and they should call women people with uteruses and birthing people and stuff and abolish gender. I don't give a shit about them.
Get the fuck out of here.